Throughout the history of Formula One, there have been several figures who left their mark on the world of motorsports. One of them is undoubtedly Ayrton Senna da Silva, a Brazilian driver with many followers and fans. It was a spectacle every time he stepped on the track. His natural talent, his magic in the rain, his charisma, his character, his aggressiveness, his driving technique, and his ambition made this driver a mark on the sport. Also, for being considered a good person and for his warmth and personality that he showed in all the circuits he went through with each and every one of the people he met. Unlike several current Formula One drivers, Ayrton Senna's car collection was very varied, with all kinds of vehicles, most of them authentic jewels. Although the most outstanding thing is that practically none of them was acquired by him. Senna, of a humble nature, did not spend his income on collecting sports cars and luxury vehicles, but that did not prevent many brands from giving their cars to the champion. At the young age of 20 in 1981, Ayrton traveled to Great Britain to compete in the Ford Formula 1600. A few weeks into his stay, and in his third race, he took his first victory, and so began a spectacular streak, since in that season he won 12 of the 19 races on the calendar. That terrible success made him climb to the Ford Formula 2000, and later between 1982 and 1983 he competed in Formula 3. By that time he had already become the image of Ford in Brazil. Ayrton appeared in several publications and advertisements, even promoting the ethanol engine of the second generation Corcel. The advertising alliance with the Oval brand continued after its arrival in Formula One in 1984. He initially competed in the Toleman team, and later in the Lotus team. Senna then continued filming advertisements for the brand, including one for the Escort XR3. In 1984, he was given one of these models, after filming its launching commercial. This mix between a coupe and a sedan had very rectangular lines and a shape well remembered by the lovers of the brand of the Oval. The 1.6 that had generated only 96 horsepower, but in a vehicle with a weight of just over 900 kilograms, served to maintain a certain fun character. Even so, it was still the worst performing model in its collection. It could then reach 111 miles per hour and do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 11 seconds. Continuing in the later 1984, we go back to an event organized by Mercedes-Benz to promote the launch of one of its vehicles, the 190e Cosworth. The brand brought together the best drivers of the time, including Senna, of course, and made them compete in a race. Ayrton was victorious, and as a prize, the German manufacturer gave him the same car. Mercedes had presented it that same weekend and had also announced that it was going to compete in the DTM. This evolution of the 190 featured a 16-valve engine, derived from the original 2.0 of the 190e and reworked by Cosworth. An engine that gave the reliability and power of a 2.3-liter, as well as torque and adjusted consumption. It had suspensions with larger springs, stabilizer bars, and a chassis lowered by 2.2 millimeters, as well as modified 15-inch wheels. Its aerodynamic coefficient was 0.32, thanks to its design based on a front spoiler, a rear spoiler, side skirts, and wider fender wings. This vehicle, whose engine generated 180 horsepower, was capable of achieving 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.8 seconds, and reaching 231 kilometers per hour. Ayrton then used this vehicle as a privateer for several years around Europe, but it is also known that years later he acquired other models of the brand. One of these was an SEC 500. A sober coupe with very defined lines and great personality. A vehicle equipped with the V8 engine of 5 liters and 252 horsepower, in which the ride comfort, interior, and safety stood out. At the time, qualified as a top-of-the-line car for comfort, performance, and engineering. It has classic lines of a Mercedes of the time and with good aerodynamics. From 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, it accelerates in 7.5 seconds. The latest model of the German brand is an SL600 Cabriolet from the first years of the 90s. this Mercedes sports car left nothing to be desired. It still maintained the square style and straight lines that characterized the brand at the time, but being a cabriolet added a dose of spectacular style. Although undoubtedly one of the most remarkable features of this vehicle is its 6-liter V12 engine. With this 394 horsepower beast, the SL600 could go from 0 to 100 km per hour in 6.1 seconds. Another advantage of this model was that being the highest version of the range, it had superior equipment, as expected. Standard equipment included electric heated leather seats, cruise control, dual airbags, and air suspension. Undoubtedly the best known car in the Ayrton Senna collection, and one we all expected to appear, is the Honda NSX. The model was created due to the brand's involvement in Formula 1. At the time, Honda supplied engines to both Lotus and McLaren. Let's remember that until 1987, Ayrton was part of the Lotus team, and that in 1988 he switched to McLaren. The union between McLaren and Honda also made the Brazilian driver the image of the Japanese brand. Just at the time when its first supercar was about to see the light, the NSX took the basis of its design from a fighter plane, the F-16. More than anything else, it took its aerodynamic idea, with a wide but completely clean front end, and a cockpit with a large glazed surface. The rear mid-engine layout necessitated an exotic rear appearance, elongated and straight. In the final phase of development, Ayrton Senna was summoned by Honda to take contact with the prototypes of the future model. The driver's first impression was rather harsh. He shared that he thought it was a bit fragile. Then, the company's alarm bells went off. The driver also made a suggestion to significantly stiffen the monocoque, something that Honda said was achieved. It was the first mass-produced car built with an all-aluminum monocoque body. Equipped with the 3-liter V6 engine, the NSX's power output was only 274 horsepower. A high figure for any car, but perhaps not so high for a supercar. With this in mind, the car had to have impeccable dynamics to counteract the lack of power compared to other rivals. Among them, Ferrari models such as the 348 or the Porsche 911. Honda also sought to provide its customers with a reliable product, with low maintenance and high durability, characteristics not so common in supercar models. Finally, the Honda NSX became one of the reference cars of the moment in terms of chassis, something that the brand confirmed was based on Ayrton's experience when it came to feeling the car. This also included a notable improvement in the torsional rigidity of the bodywork, something that for the driver was fundamental to transmit control. The car went on sale in 1990, causing a real furor among the mass public. It was a car with top-level performance at a lower price than any of its rivals. However, it was never an economical product, which also made it an exclusive model. The agreement with Honda left Ayrton 3 Honda NSXs in his possession, 1 in red and 2 in black, one of which is still in the possession of his family in Brazil. Before his last season, and after racing with Ford Cosworth engines at McLaren, Senna joined the Williams team with Renault engines. However, he never managed to generate a link with the Diamond brand beyond the racetracks. A few months before his death in 1994, he would add another model to his garage, this time a family model, but without losing its sporty character. Ayrton Senna had proposed to seal an alliance with Audi to be the representative of the brand of rings in Brazil, and that is why the last vehicle that Ayrton had was an Audi S4 Avant. To this day, the car is on display at the Audi show in Sao Paulo, with only 5,000 kilometers on its odometer. The station wagon had a 2.3-liter V8 270 horsepower engine, 6-speed manual transmission, and quattro all-wheel drive. With these specifications, this Audi was capable of reaching 247 km per hour. It also had a 0 to 100 km per hour or 60 miles per hour in just 6.6 seconds. At 34 years of age, Ayrton Senna had already won 3 world titles with Honda in terms of engines, and we could safely say that if he had not suffered that fateful accident that took his life on May 1st, his list of trophies would be even longer. and many even believed that he would have achieved this by the hand of Ferrari. For years, he had already been tempted by the Maranello team, but never reached an agreement with Enzo Ferrari and the subsequent leaders of the firm. 4 days before his accident, he met with Luca Montezemolo, and everything seemed to be on track for the Brazilian to finally wear the Ferrari Rosso. 4 days later, we lost one of the best drivers who ever stepped on the Formula One tracks.